Burkina Faso's army says it has killed 32 armed men described as terrorists during two operations in the north of the country. The first offensive, which took place in Yorsala forest, saw the release of many women who were kept as sex slaves. These two military offensives come less than a month since nearly 40 employees of a Canadian mining company were killed in an ambush. Hundreds of people have died and nearly 500,000 have fled their homes since unrest began in 2015. Joining us now is a security expert, Chidi Nwonu, who is in the UK. Thank you for joining us on the program, Mr. Nwonu. With the latest military operation, quite impressive by the Burkina Faso army, and the number of armed men that were killed, can we say that the army is really making headway with the fight against extremism?
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me on. I mean, I think it would be very premature to say that the Burkina Faso or the Burkinabe army is making headway at this point. This is one operation. We've not really seen much detail, as in, footage or videos or photos, and we've not heard from the other side. As we know, the violent extremists in the Sahel are quite good at putting out their own version of events. And until we see what they've got to say about it, we'd have to maybe be a little bit cautious about taking this as a great victory. But on face value, yes, it is a victory. But in the grand scheme of things, this is a long operation that will need to take place, or a long campaign, in order to eradicate this problem and to provide security for businesses and for people in the area.
Yeah, quite often these groups take, the credit for killing more people. They usually like to counter what the government says. So no surprise there, as we expect, some form of response from them. But Burkina Faso, one of the G5 Sahel regions battling jihadists, so far, they seem to be the most hit and the most struggling in this part of the world. What's responsible for this?
Well, there's several, factors, that one could look at in terms of the Burkina Faso kind of element of the Sahel problem. The first is Blaise Compaoré, their former president, was, there for quite a while. He was quite, connected in all, facets of life, from the political, with the French, with fellow African countries, and also with these extremist groups, or, what you would call maybe their foundational members, their kind of preachers. So he was able to hope. What we would conclude is that he kept a lid on it by coming to some sort of an agreement with them, giving them, an opportunity to not be attacked, and also in return not attacking Burkina Faso. The first major terrorist attack in Burkina Faso took place 3 days after Compaoré resigned. So there might not. One wouldn't say that he's directly involved, but one would link the loss of that long-term leader with connections everywhere to a breakdown in stability in that country.
And now the opposition party is asking the government to resign. Still don't know what the people want. They're saying that the government has failed to curb the terror attacks. Would that help in any way, or is the government way over its head in with the terrorism in Burkina Faso?
It's unclear what the government resignation would do, other than maybe create, again, more political turmoil in Burkina Faso. This is not to say that the current government is particularly, good or competent. It's essentially the same people who were under Compaoré who are now on this new government. But right now, what Burkina Faso needs is political stability, and potentially for the government to bring in these opposition members and try and make sure that the state is sufficiently stable to provide not just development, but security for the rest of the Burkinabe people.
What would be an effective solution to the situation there? What would help bring down the violence?
In this particular situation where there is widespread violence, you need a good, strong security response. And that security response can't just be heavy-handed, going in, killing people, bombing places. It has to be, protecting people at the grassroots level. So having community policemen, soldiers garrisoned, all over the country. And at the same time, providing development. A lot of the fighters are not fighting for ideological reasons. They're fighting because this is a way to get paid, a way to get money. You remove that incentive, that economic incentive, by providing very basic development, roads, water, electricity. And you'll find a lot of the fighters will lose that inclination because they can find their livelihoods elsewhere.
Mr. Chidi Nwonu, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for joining us on Network Africa.
Thank you for having me.